we need to talk about Luigi Mansion. Because I'm tired of saying this man's name wrong and you guys always clocking me on it. So I'm just calling him what his name should be, Luigi Mansion. This man might be getting the death penalty. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You guys know Luigi Mansion. You guys remember Luigi Mansion. The breaking announcement is that U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi has announced that federal prosecutions will seek prosecutors, will seek the death penalty for Luigi Mansion. They are, this is the guy that is being accused of allegedly murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson back in December outside of the Hilton Hotel in Manhattan, New York. And at this point, the evidence is pretty obvious. All over his social media, he left trails for people to see. He really sent people on this whole Easter egg hunt, finding all the clues of him allegedly murdering the CEO. And now Pam Bondi, she's standing on business and is wanting to put him on the death trial or on the death penalty trial. And if you guys don't remember, here's a clip of just what happened, what transpired. Like Luigi literally pulled up on this CEO, Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, and he just shot him point blank range with some written messages on the bullets. And then he had the murder weapon and all these different clues in his backpack with him when they arrested him. I want to say at a McDonald's. It was just an insane situation. Now, to give some more context of this push for capital punishment is the first push for capital punishment under Trump's second term, and it's really a part of this Make America Safe Again initiative that is really focused on combating violent crime. And Pam Bondi, her whole MO behind it is saying that Luigi Mangione, he clearly was executing a premeditated murder. It was a cold-blooded assassination. You can't really deny that based on the details that we have seen so far. And right now, he's currently facing the charges of federal counts of murder with a firearm, stalking, many firearm offenses, plus 11 state charges, including murder and acts of terrorism. And again, the evidence, he had the notebook with his whole what's it called? I'm blanking right now.
What's it like a manifesto?
Manifesto. He had like his little mini manifesto in there. Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. He had all of that in his backpack. So he was ready. He was ready, willing, and able to be caught, it seems like. And surprisingly, there is a push. Unsurprisingly, I should say. But his lawyer, his defense is now pushing back, saying that this is barbaric and that it's very political, which I can understand arguing against the death penalty, but calling it barbaric and political, I feel like is a stretch. I feel like what he did was quite barbaric and political. The entire reason he went after this guy was political, but I don't see who would politically gain from him getting the death penalty. It's more just a matter of letting our country know that this kind of behavior is not going to be tolerated anymore. And now it's this whole debate too between the state and federal charges of it all, because the state of New York does not allow the death penalty, to my understanding, but the federal law does allow it. So there is a big push there, but this whole thing is still one of the craziest things to come out of recent memory, like the whole mystery behind it and people being on this witch hunt because all of his fans were thirsty. I do have to say, though, this is so out of pocket, but United Healthcare, if he does end up getting the death penalty, United Healthcare could do the funniest thing and be like, you know what? We're going to get our lick back. We're going to give you all the tools to, shut down Luigi Mangione for free and not even charge for all those materials if they really wanted to get their lick back, if they decide to be petty, because never miss an opportunity to be petty, okay? Sometimes you got to twist the knife right back a little bit. But, something that I still cannot get over with this whole Luigi Mangione situation is how thirsty this man's fans have been. Oh my goodness. This man's fans are like, the simping is insane. Okay, simping over a man who just murdered somebody in cold blood is still one of the wildest phenomena that has come out of this turn of the century that I truly don't get. But really, I can't even sit here and pretend like it's brand new, because this has been going on for a while now. Like, if we think about Netflix, for example, I really blame Netflix for a lot of this culture of just these girls simping over Luigi Mansion. Because, look over at Netflix, they had the whole documentary about Jeffrey Dahmer. Okay, they managed to sexualize Jeffrey Dahmer, the man who in the 90s lured all these gay men to his apartment, murdered them, violated their deceased bodies, and then ate them. A literal cannibal, like for real this time, a cannibal. And there are still people who were thirsting all over this man because of how he was romanticized and glamorized and sexualized by Netflix. They went and got Evan Peters, who is a heartthrob, to play him. Then you have the Menendez brothers. You have all these people who are thirst trapping by trying to be like the Menendez brothers and who want to be these hot, preppy brothers in Bel Air or wherever they lived in LA. Like, it's insane to me that once again, and if you actually watch the series, it's really disturbing how sexualized the Menendez brothers were in that show. Like, they even insinuated that these two had an incestuous relationship, which I don't know if that's true or not, but that was bizarre, but also had this whole fan fiction stuff going. Then you have Ted Bundy, who also was played by Zac Efron. Getting Zac Efron to play a real life serial killer was insane. Like, okay, if you look back at the old school files talking about Ted Bundy, like, yes, there were a lot of people even back then who were thirsting over this literal murderer and saying that his charm is what almost got him away clean with it all, which, looking at him, he looks very disturbing and frightening, and literally, like, everything he did, he was guilty of. Everything that Ted Bundy was accused of, I would have known he was guilty just looking at him in that photo. But to have Zac Efron play him, what are y'all doing? Why are y'all making people thirst over these murderers? And the culture is just getting worse and worse. And you already know Dave Franco or James Franco is going to end up playing Luigi Mansion. You already know that this is going to be a Netflix special. As soon as the storyline gets done playing out, you already know this is going to be a hypersexualized display over on Netflix. And it's really, really gross. And you also got this guy, Wade Wilson. I just saw on like Snapchat stories recently that there are all these people thirsting over him. Mind you, now he's not super famous yet because they haven't made his Netflix special yet, but this guy with his tattoos all over his face, acting like this big tough guy in the courtroom, he literally strangled and murdered these women for no reason, like just to assert his power. And if you look him up on the internet, you will see all these different women thirsting over him. It is getting out of control. Why are y'all so obsessed with murderers? Is it daddy issues? Is your dad just not in the picture? Where is your daddy when you need him? Okay? Because I promise you, these murderers aren't going to be your daddy. This is getting out of control. And then Luigi Mangione, he knew what he was doing because allegedly, now there's not concrete proof of this yet, but I remember this went viral on Twitter about a month ago. I just didn't talk about it because I didn't see anything concrete about just like the allegation, but they say that Luigi Mansion went and recorded a bunch of sex tapes before he committed the crime because he wanted to be watched. That was what it was all over some of the blogs, saying that he wants to be watched and that he probably has some type of timed system or some people who are holding onto the files. But he went and had a whole bunch of sex tapes allegedly filmed because he knew that people were going to sexualize him, which is why he's always thirst trapping the camera when you see him in the courtroom or you see them taking him around. Like, he's smizing. He's always got his eyebrows and stuff. Like, how is he getting his eyebrows and his fade freshened up while in prison? Do they have barbers in prison? Or are they using like forks for that? Do they even have forks in prison? I don't know how this is all working, but you see him glowing and radiant like he just left the spa every time he goes to the courtroom. You can't tell me that man's aura is just that high, that he's just glowing in the courtroom. Like, they're taking very good care of him in prison. And, you know, a lot of people are defending him. A lot of people really stand behind him and say that he did what he had to do. Because his whole manifesto was about how he was trying to say the healthcare industry has killed all these people by denying claims and how the healthcare industry is corrupt. In his defense, I agree. The healthcare industry is extremely corrupt. I'm very, very vocal about that on a regular basis. And that being said, what we're not going to do is sit here and say, let's normalize murdering CEOs because you think that that's the way to make a statement. Like, yes, you got a lot of people talking about it. I'll give you that. I'll be objective and say that. But if anything, you just made it less credible when people try to agree with your argument because you now look insane. You just threw your entire life away. Luigi Mangione was only 26 years old. You are insane. You are now about to potentially be on death row, and you think that you're going to be revered as this martyr? No. You are going to be forgotten in a certain amount of time. It is out of control. This is very, very pitiful. But still, this man has managed to raise over $500,000 and probably more since then. More, I know in February, they were saying that they had already raised $500,000 for his defense just from people sending in money. Like, people really are down bad for this guy and are head over heels in love with him. And this, to me, is absolutely insane. Okay, we know nothing about the CEO besides his job title and that he was a father of young children right before the holidays. That's all we knew about Brian Thompson. You know, I don't know if this is a good guy or not. I don't know if he's a nice guy. I don't know if he was a good CEO or not. But a lot of the time, CEOs of these major corporations, they don't know what's going on every single level. His whole job is to advance the company. Okay, there are all sorts of people in the chain of command over at a company as humongous as United Healthcare. And that being said, regardless, even if he was the one personally saying no to every single one of these claims that got denied, because they did deny a lot of these requests for coverage, it's like that these claims, that is still not justification to go out and brutally murder this guy. But when it comes to the argument of the death penalty, I'll be honest with you guys. The death penalty is one of those things where I feel like I change my mind on it often because something about it doesn't sit well with me simply because I don't trust our judicial system enough to get it right every time. And I feel like if you are going to put someone on the death penalty, yeah, you're supposed to be guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But how many times have we seen that be turned over? How many times has there been a reasonable doubt and turns out the doubt was, or the whole case actually had a lot of reasonable doubt. Okay, it's supposed to be beyond a reasonable doubt, you know? So I just don't trust our judicial system with that level of power to put people on death penalty, especially when we live in a time of political persecution where if you do the wrong things or don't say the right things, they are much more likely to utilize the court of public opinion to deem you guilty, or the court of elite opinion to deem you guilty. So I feel very unnerved by the death penalty. But at the same time, I get it because the death penalty is supposed to be preserved for, you know, serial killers and sexual predators and people who put gum underneath public surfaces. These are people who cannot be rehabilitated. If you are somebody who can be rehabilitated, you should not be subject to the death penalty. And when I look at someone like Luigi, it's like you went so out of your way and did such a calculated effort to murder this man, this CEO, Brian Thompson, that it could be argued that you are beyond any sort of rehabilitation. You know, an eye for an eye, capital punishment. It is biblical, as Mr. Rodriguez let me know before we came down here today. So it's like, I get it. I understand the argument for the death penalty, but I also feel like this 26-year-old, even if I'm pro putting people in prison for life too, don't get me wrong, but even if you were in prison for 30 years, you know, at the age of 56, there's a chance that this guy could be an entirely different individual than who he is at 26. So it's not that I have empathy for him. I just am always nervous of the precedent that we're setting when we take those kind of liberties. So again, I as far as today, because, you know, we might talk about the death penalty again in like 3 episodes and I might totally change my mind. I reserve the right to amend this statement, but as far as I am currently concerned, I just feel like the death penalty should be preserved to, again, the extremes, the serial killers, the sexual predators, and again, the people who put gum underneath desks or underneath benches, because that to me is so disgusting. And that to me is the most disrespectful, vile, inconsiderate, inhumane thing that you can do. How dare you? How dare you? Because I'm always the person who ends up touching the gum underneath the desk, or especially at a nice restaurant. Like, why is there gum underneath the table? It's like, please don't piss me off today. But, you know, with all that being said, I am very pro, you know, hanging a witch. I'm very pro hanging a witch. And I'm also very pro public stoning. I think that we should bring that back. I think it builds a lot of community and character when there's public stoning. If you're someone that is a sexual predator, yeah, I would pick up a brick and throw it at you. And I think everybody else in the community would want to join in, and they should join in. That's how you build a strong nation. So what do you guys think? I hope you're letting me know in the live chats. Send in your super chats. We now have super chats on the show. So, you know, let me know what you guys think. Should Luigi Mangione get the death penalty, or do you think that is too harsh? With the assumption that the allegations against him are true, because let me not get sued, yeah.